When I was a kid growing up in the 1970s, I thought anyone over 30 was old and anyone over 40 was just ancient. And it appears I wasn't alone in this view. Just take a look at some of the popular TV programmes of the day. Things like The Two Ronnies, Rising Damp and Bless This House. In essence, they were all about the hilarious scrapes grumpy old men got into when they didn't understand young people. It amazes me now that the actors actually in those programmes were only in their mid-40s, so roughly 10 years younger than I am today. Fast forward 40 years or so and they're saying that 50 is the new 30. People in their 50s and 60s are going dating, starting businesses and are off backpacking in the Tibetan highlands. So what's changed in the meantime? Now there's no getting away from the fact that we are all getting older. Basically every day that passes means that we're one day further away from the moment of our birth. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about that, unless of course you know how to turn time and space in on itself so that it stops completely. No, I didn't think you did. Our bodies will age. There's no way around that. Obviously, genetics and diet have a very important role to play in the aging process. If you are fortunate enough to be blessed with good genes, it may delay the onset of the telltale signs such as grey hair and wrinkles, while eating a balanced diet will provide you with all of the antioxidants and nutrients to maintain a healthy body. There's also no shortage of snake oil salesmen that will try and convince you that the way to stop growing old is with a collection of very expensive oils, creams, treatments and potions. And while that might work for a while, they will at best only temporarily hide those wrinkles and the grey hair. Looking after the body is incredibly important, but equally age, as they say, is just a number. And as much as I hate that cliche, I have to concede that there is a certain amount of truth to it. It is possible to have two people roughly the same age that look, and more importantly, act totally different. For me, one of the most powerful ways to stop growing old is through the power of our minds. Mental attitude is every bit, if not more important, if you want to slow down or even stop growing old. If you think that you're a miserable old fart, you're more likely to start acting like a miserable old fart. So where does cycling fit into all of this? Well, as I'm always saying, we're never too old or too fat to cycle. In fact, we're never too anything to cycle. Furthermore, cycling is one of the best ways to slow down the aging process, not least because, unlike other exercises, cycling is pretty kind to our joints, so you're less likely to damage your knees. As the song says, you'll miss them when they're gone. If you are already a cyclist, I'm sure that you're well aware of the anti-aging benefits that riding a bike gives. I'm sure it can't just be me who's noticed that my cycling chums tend to generally look younger than their actual years and have an outlook to match. Yeah, okay, physical exercise, any physical exercise is going to be good for our bodies, but I'm also convinced that one of the reasons cyclists look younger is down to the good it does in our heads. It's clear that cycling is also good for our mental health. This can be partly explained due to the endorphins, basically the feel-good chemicals that our brains release when we're riding and having fun. But personally, I think there are a few other more subtle ways that cycling is good for our heads and our overall attitudes. I'm convinced that keeping the mind active and open is the key. With that, cycling is so much more than just a physical activity. For starters, we are constantly making hundreds, if not thousands, of little calculations and adjustments when we're doing it. If you don't believe me, ask yourself this: how does a bike stay upright? You could of course explain it away by saying gyroscopic force, forward momentum, or even a sprinkling of pink pixie dust. But without you on board making those adjustments, it would just fall over. And what's more, we do all of these complex calculations without even consciously thinking about them. Every time we get on a bike, it is literally a journey into the unknown, even on something as boring as your daily commute. While you might be familiar with the route, there will always be something that will make each ride slightly different. Weather, other road users, etc., etc. Occasionally there will be things that could turn a very mundane ride into a mini adventure, exploring a new route, riding somewhere unfamiliar, or even facing an unexpected challenge. One of the things that makes us feel old is settling into an all too rigid routine and then being afraid to change it. The cup of tea and a hobnob at 9, in bed by 10 thinking. Regularly getting outside of your safe comfort zones, having these mini adventures and dealing with the unknown is a great way of breaking that. Anyone will tell you it sometimes takes a little more than brute strength alone to conquer a challenging climb or a long ride on a bike. If you don't quite have it in the legs, you will need a few mental techniques and a great deal of self-belief and determination to get to the top. Once there, not only will you have a massive sense of achievement, but you'll also start wondering what else you're capable of. If you are of a certain age, I would argue that you've successfully destroyed one of your own myths about what you, as a so-called old man, can or can't do, and that in itself is very empowering. Rightly or wrongly, I never consider myself old. In my head, I'm still fairly young. Okay, we may or may not be as fit or as fast as we were in our 20s, but believe me, there are plenty of actual 20-year-olds who aren't all that fit anyway. The moment you stop riding a bike or start feeling like you want to buy a pair of comfortable slippers and a recliner armchair, then maybe that would be the time to rethink. But until then, you should do everything you can to have fun, be open to experience new things and rise to any challenge life cares to put in front of you. And I believe that this is at the heart of what it takes to be a cyclist. Thanks for watching.